What do you need to apply to law school? That's what we'll be talking about in this video. Make sure you check out my Instagram and TikTok before we get started. I'll have those pop up, but we're gonna jump right into what you need to apply to law school. And I'll just kind of be talking about each of these 6 bullet points. You can see them listed here. The first is LSAT. You probably, if you are watching this video, are at least familiar with what the LSAT is. This is the law school admissions test, very similar to the SAT or the ACT that you use to get into undergraduate, right? So you do need to have an undergraduate degree to apply to law school or be very close to having completed your undergraduate degree. And you'll need to take this test. Now, people recommend that you take it your junior or senior year. I recommend taking it your junior year of college. If you're going to go kindergarten through JD, if that's your path, take it your junior year because you want to get a sense, at least at that time, of what applying your senior year will look like. And so you may decide your senior year, hey, I'm going to take the LSAT again, but look into that. A lot of people say you should only take it one time. I only took it one time. But I do recommend taking a prep class, right? I took Test Masters, but there are other options available. There's Kaplan, there's Princeton Review, just to name a few. I'm sure there are many others. I can attest to Test Masters. I think it was a tremendous program. I did the live session. It was, I thought, extremely helpful. So look into courses for the LSAT, you know, these sort of prep courses, if you will. Personal statement, right? You're going to need to craft a personal statement. And I will actually share in the description a link to my personal statement that I used to apply to law school, just to give you a sense of what these ought to look like. But typically, you're just going to want like a 500-word sort of essay, if you will. And I'm sure there's many different forms, different types of personal statements, but it's basically your essay as to why do you want to go to law school. And so you need to have perfected your personal statement, make sure there's no typos, nothing wrong with it, and that that's someone who's reading it is going to quickly understand your why and get a sense of who you are. Letters of recommendation. So this is something that you should be thinking about from the moment you arrive at your undergraduate degree institution, because these are extremely important. They can really make or break your acceptance and helping you stand out. And so what I recommend is that you work really hard to build a relationship with at least 2 professors while in undergrad. And this needs to be a very good relationship. And I can't give you tips in this video about how to do that. Maybe in a future video, I'll do such a thing. But you got to be strategic, right? You got to find someone who resonates with you, who's going to resonate with your story, because not every professor is going to be interested in you, but you need to have 2 strong allies, people who are going to be willing to go to bat for you, who are going to be willing to say something and have something to say. They actually know you and not just sort of a cookie cutter letter of recommendation, because admission committees can tell. But you're going to need 3 of these. Maybe a third one comes from a coach. Maybe it comes from, you know, a summer internship that you did, but just be thinking about who can I have to write these letters of recommendation. So the 4th thing that you're going to need is you're going to need to disclose any academic or disciplinary infractions, right? This can be things that happened while you were in college. Maybe you got put on academic probation. These could be things that happened outside of college. Maybe you got a DUI. These things do not have to prevent you from getting into law school, but you absolutely must disclose them entirely during the application process. And from personal experience, I can say it's best just to hit these things head on, no matter how bad it is. You know, you just want to disclose it, own it, and you need to work on crafting a narrative, you know. I know someone who got a DUI months before applying to law school, and he still got into a great law school. So don't rule yourself out just because you have things in your past, right? And myself, I had an academic infraction, and I had to, you know, put that out there and let people know. And what you really are going to, and this is a good segue, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to work on your interview prep. Right? You can see this second to last bullet point. Interview outfit and prep. I went and bought a suit so that I could interview, because you want to, obviously, you're applying to law school, you're applying to a professional school, you need to appear like an attorney, right? So I went and bought a suit just so I could interview. And then your prep. If you have academic and disciplinary infractions, you're going to need to prepare even more for your interview, right? Because it's not just going to be cookie cutter. A lot of students, they've just been on the trek, and they just, they K through JD, and they're on that path, right? There's nothing really to explain here. Like good grades, great letters of recommendation, good GPA, good LSAT score, they're in. Some of us have a more difficult, windy path, right? And so working on your prep, working on your story and your narrative can be the difference between acceptance and rejection. And that's something where, if you have questions, I encourage you to reach out, find me on Instagram or Twitter, DM me there, and I would love to talk to you about this sort of thing if this applies to you. And then the last thing, you're gonna need money. And I just had kind of an estimation there, but it's true. You're gonna need about $2,000 to $4,000 just to apply to law school. And this is something I have a huge complaint with. It's kind of like those barriers to entry, and why certain groups of society are kept out of the practice of law, and it's been more difficult historically. There's a lot of gatekeeping, right? But you're going to have to pay for your LSAT test. If you're smart, you're going to take a prep course. You're going to pay for that. Those can run you $1,000, $2,000 alone. And then you're going to have, as you apply to different law schools, you're going to have fees associated with every application, a $90 fee, a $50 fee, just to submit your resume and application for them to even look at and consider. And that's actually something I should have included on here, is your resume, right? You're going to need to have a nice, polished, good-looking resume that really kind of is succinct and explains what you've done and what you've accomplished. I should have had that listed, but you will need between $2,000 and $4,000. You do not need that money all at once, right? You need to pay for the class, and then you're going to have to pay to take the test, and then you can pay for your applications and stuff like that. And you don't have to take a course, right? You could mark off $2,000 of this price range I have here just by eliminating taking a prep course. Yeah, so you could reduce your fees in that way, but you will need to have money set aside, and that's something that, like, the legal fees sneak up on you throughout the 3 to 4 years that you are trying to pursue and get your Juris Doctorate degree, and they really do add up. So, yeah, work on the resume. That's the last thing. If you guys have any questions, comments, ideas for videos you'd like to see, please drop those in the description. Again, check out my personal statement. I'll have a link to that in the description, hopefully. And maybe I might have a link to Testmasters or one of the affiliates that I might end up doing in regards to this whole playlist. So check that out. I highly recommend Testmasters. I would not have gotten the LSAT score that I got if it was not for Testmasters. So thank you guys. See you in the next one. Peace.